Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be on the difference between species richness and species diversity. We'll be looking at the difference first and then we'll be understanding it with an example. So let's start with the difference. So to start with, let's see what they mean. So species richness is the number of different species which are present in a particular location or area. Whereas the species diversity is the number of species and relative abundance in a particular location or area. So it's the number of species in the species diversity, but in the species richness, it is the number of different species that we have. Talking about the components, species richness does not have any components, whereas components of species diversity include species richness and species evenness. So, to explain this further, let me just make this diagram-ish thing. So, what is this is species diversity actually has two parts in it, and the two parts is species richness and species evenness. I hope you guys got this clear now. I'm sorry for this bad drawing, but I hope you guys understood that species diversity has two different parts called the species richness and species evenness. So now talking about the number of individuals in the species. So species richness does not measure the number of individuals in the species. So for example, there's a species in the species richness, we will not count how many are there or will not measure the number. But for example, let's take species diversity now. In that, you will compare the number of individuals between the different species. So for example, there's a species A, which with let's take 10. 10 is the number, is the population of the species. Now talking about the species B, it's 5. So now what we'll do is we'll compare the number of individuals in the different species A and B in this case. I hope that's clear, and now let's move on to the next thing. So now we look at this example wherein you guys can see two different biological communities A and B. So it mentions the species and the number of individuals in that particular community. So now I'll explain these to you because now explanation is what's going to work. So now by looking at these two communities, the species richness and the diversity can be explained. So species richness of the two communities is equal and the value is 6 because the species richness is not what is this. It does not include this, but it is this particular part, which is A, B, C, D, E, F, which counts to 6, and hence both the communities have 6, and hence the species richness is equal to 6 and it's equal in both communities. Now, I'll talk about a little more about this later, but let's continue with this. So, species A numerically dominates community A. You guys can see that. So over here, species A is really big as compared to the rest. But in community B, you all can see all the species are evenly present there. So you guys can see that A is, it's like an average. They're almost equal. They're evenly present there, right? In the community B. You all can see that in here. Now, hence, we can also conclude that though the species richness and the total number of individuals in both the species are same, we have seen that, but community B is more diverse than community A. Okay, because we have, you guys can see, the diversity is more in community B as compared to community A. Hence, it's necessary to take in account the relative abundance. So it's really important to take in account the relative abundance of each of these species when we are considering the species diversity. So I hope you guys understood the difference between species diversity and, of course, the species richness. This was all about this, and I wanted to explain this with an example. So I hope you guys understood, and thank you so much. Bye. Have a nice day.